Hey, thanks for joining me. This is just a quick video, kind of a follow-up to the video that I did on this Dobson DBS3500 about a month or maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago. But then I showed you how you could use this with an expansion battery, and it makes a very nice, versatile, budget, portable home backup system or portable power station. Either way, you can kind of take it with you. It's got a dolly handle and wheels, and it's got battery expansions. And in terms of cost per watt hour, it's one of the better budget options out there that I have seen. Well, in today's video, we're going to take a look at how you can connect two of these DBS3500s together to get split phase 240 volt output. And to do that, you obviously have to have two of the DBS3500s. And by the way, if you haven't seen the individual video that I did on it, I'll put that in the video description below and you can go check that out. I highly recommend that. This will make a whole lot more sense if you do go watch that. But back to this topic where we're going to look at this 240 volt split phase configuration. Now you do need this parallel box that they ship with this, and on this it has an L1450 connector. Even though this really is a 30 amp output, it's a maximum of 30 amps, but it does have an L1450 type, kind of the same thing you'd use for a dryer. Also very common for RVs as well. And then it's got an L1430 twist lock over here. And you can actually get 240 volts out of either one of these two, or you can get 20 amps, 120 volts out of either one of these two. But again, maximum 30 amps out of the whole thing. And basically there's just two cables coming off this, as you can see on the top, and those wrap around and they plug into each of these DBS3500 infinity ports on the side. And they just plug right in there. And then all you have to do is power up the units. It'll detect that there's this parallel box attached, and then it'll kind of reboot itself to set the split phase for you, and then you're off to the races. So let's go ahead and do that. And like I said, they'll kind of boot up, and then they'll shut off, and then they'll boot up again. Now they're powering down. And they are coming back up. All right. So they're pretty close in charge, 98%, 99%. Now typically when you're trying to get 240 volt output, it's because you want to be able to power larger appliances in your house, like your dryer or some big monster electric water heater like this, or your furnace, which actually doesn't typically take 240 volts, but your central AC will. But do be aware, even though these are rated for a continuous 3,600 watts of AC output each, at 30 amp max is not going to be enough to allow you to handle the inrush current on a typical sort of 2 to 4 ton house residential central air conditioning unit. So this would not typically be appropriate for that kind of use, but it would be appropriate if you wanted to use it for a window air conditioner or a floor air conditioner, something like that. Now, you have a couple of options. As I said, you could use a standard generator cable, which is usually these L1430 twist locks. And actually that's what I've got there. That's what I've got plugged into my manual transfer switch. And it's got a male end on this side here. But before we do that, we're going to check and make sure we're actually getting 240 volts out of both of these ports. Now, if you wanted to use the L1450 to connect to an L1430 on your manual transfer switch, well, you can do that with a simple adapter like this, where this would go into the manual transfer switch, and then this L1450 end, the dryer style plug, would just connect into there. Now, since I happen to have a longer generator cable anyway, it actually came with my manual transfer switch up there. I'm just going to use that rather than this adapter. I just picked this up so I'd have another option if I ever needed it, and also to be able to show you that these things are out there and they're easy to find. Now, you do, when you're setting up your manual transfer switch, and by the way, I will leave a link to that video as well in the description below. It's much easier to do than you might think, although check with code in your area to make sure it's not required that you use a licensed electrician for that, or that an inspection is not required. But it's always recommended, even if it's not required, have it inspected, make sure you didn't violate any codes, things like that, because you do not want to burn down your house or injure yourself or anybody that you care about. So all that disclaimer aside, yeah, you do want to make sure you get your circuits relatively balanced off of the two 120 volt legs that are coming into your residential service. I know I have some viewers in Australia and you guys are running off of 240, so this is different for you. This is applicable to people here in the US. But you do want to make sure that your circuits are relatively evenly distributed in terms of load across those two legs. And that's especially important when you're using split phase 240 where you have two units, two separate AC inverters giving you the power for those two legs. Because if you have them imbalanced, it will drain the capacity of one faster than the other. And then it's the lowest common denominator. The one that runs out first, the whole thing is going to shut down since it's in 240 mode. So just be aware of that. You can add expansion batteries, but you wouldn't want to add one expansion battery to this with two units. You'd want to add two so both of these units had the same capacity to draw from. So just be aware of that, or you could add two expansion batteries and two to each one, so a total of four if you really wanted to go nuts with this. Now, by themselves, they have, I think the capacity is 3,420 watt hours, I believe. So you have almost 7,000 watt hours of capacity with just two of these main DBS3500s. And then combined, it will give you a maximum 240 volt service of up to 7,000 watts. Actually, probably 7,200 watts because you're getting 3,600 watts each unit. All right, let me get my multimeter here and let's test the output and make sure we are actually getting 240 volts. Make sure I'm in AC mode. Oh, user error. You actually do have to turn on the AC inverters. Just because it came up like this, it's ready to start the timing, but you have to turn on the AC inverter for both units. There, heard both relays kick on. We should be good to go. Now let me check the voltage. There we are, 238.9 volts. So we're getting our 240 volts. Let me go ahead and plug in my manual transfer switch. I'm going to use the L1430 connector since I can only get 30 amps anyway. All right, and I do have there's a little red light, or a little red LED on here, by the way, that tells you that this thing is live. All right, now I can switch over my loads up here. And so I'll start with my hot water heater. And let's just go ahead and start loading this up. All right, so I pretty much put this entire sub panel, or at least the 10 circuits that I have mapped over here, onto this. And I don't have a lot running right now, so I'm only pulling 137 watts. Let me see if I can get the hot water heater kick on. Make sure we can run that. All right, I'm running some hot water to kick my hot water heater on here, hopefully here in just a little bit. But this is an example here. One of my legs off of one of the phases of that 240 volt, I'm pulling 138 watts, a pretty small load, but I'm not pulling anything off the other side right now on all the circuits that I've flipped over. Now that's going to change in just a little bit once the hot water heater kicks on, but this kind of illustrates why it's important to make sure that you're relatively balanced. Otherwise, like I said, you'll drain one of the units faster than you drain the other, and then whichever one drains empty first or goes to low state of charge first and has to shut down, it's all shut down. So just be aware of that. And by the way, this is absolutely plenty of power to be able to run your furnace in the wintertime if you just need heat. If you have a gas or propane furnace, this will definitely handle that because that actually runs off of 120. And those typically pull about somewhere between 600 to 700 watts when they run. It's mostly the blower that is consuming that power, and then some of the other electronics around that, but definitely possible to power a furnace with one of these, at least a gas furnace. If you happen to have electric heat in your house and you have a sense for how much watt power that actually draws, I'd be curious to know. I'm guessing it's going to be quite a bit more than 7,000 watts, but I don't have electric heat, so I'm not really quite sure how much those actually draw. I'm just guessing it's a lot more than this. So as you can see and possibly hear, the big electric water heater here to my left is actually running now. We are pulling 2,800 watts here on this one and 2,600 watts here on this one. While I was off camera, my sewage pump actually kicked on because I was running a bunch of hot water down here in the downstairs basement, and this bottom one spiked up to 3,900 watts for just about 3 or 4 seconds as the pump ran, and then it went back down. And there it goes right there. So we are at, temporarily it spun up to 3,900 watts, but it did not shut the system down. It was able to handle that pump surge while the electric water heater was also running. Now, one thing to keep in mind, when it is actually providing AC power in split phase mode, you cannot recharge it via AC. You can only recharge it via DC. So that's kind of an important thing to be aware of. So if you're going to be using this long term, you need to be prepared to recharge it in an extended power outage situation. You need to be prepared to recharge these things via solar or some other DC input in order to recharge them, not via AC, because you'd have to disconnect them in order to recharge them in AC mode, which you could certainly do, but you have to take this little parallel junction box and disconnect it in order to do that. So just be aware there is that limitation. But I do find this to be an extremely capable budget home backup power system despite its actual budget price. And I've been very happy and really delightfully surprised at how this unit performs in the 4+ months that I've had it. Just seems to tick all the boxes. Yeah, so I'll put information in the video description below if you want to go check it out. And I do highly recommend you check out the video that I did. It was a little bit longer format on the single unit with an expansion battery, just so you get a better sense of what the specs are. But highly recommend checking that out, and the links I've got for you in the description below. So hey, if you found anything of use or you learned anything in the video that you found interesting, please consider giving me a thumbs up on it. I'd very much appreciate that. And do thank you for joining me for this video. I do hope to see you in the next one as well. Until then, have fun out there.